So today's video is going to be a little bit different from the usual. If you watch my channel regularly, you know that I like to do the couture gowns on the mini half scale dummy. But here is the thing. I really wanted to make a dress for myself for my upcoming holiday. Yeah. And the thing is, with my current schedule, if I don't record it, I'm not gonna make it. So, I had to make a video out of it. So this is just how things are right now. But don't worry guys, this is all gonna be draped on the dummy and I'm gonna walk you through it. However, I need to mention that it's going to be a little bit different in terms of how I am approaching the video. This is gonna be more about my thought process as I'm draping, as opposed to having like a step-by-step thing, mainly because I don't have a design. I'm just gonna work everything out on the dummy as I go. I do have like a vague idea, but I don't have like a design, so I don't have an aim, if that makes sense. So I purchased this really nice remnant fabric from Misen a few weeks ago, and I just really liked the way it draped, and also I really liked this fray edge along the selvage. I think it was really cool, so I definitely wanted to, work with this and integrate it into the design. And also I really liked the color. Well, I had 4 meters of this fabric, but it was really narrow. So I really had to, work with that also. So yeah, so there were some obstacles. So the fabric itself doesn't scream summer, but it's nice and drapey, it's nice and flowy, it's quite lightweight. It's a medium weight really. So I think, I'm gonna make use of it even in the autumn later. And it's perfect for like a late summer evening or like a dinner. If you're new here, my name is Henny and this is Studio Henny's. And on this occasion, I'm going to work on my body double. So I just roughly padded my dummy that I had with some wadding, and then I covered it with some smooth jersey fabric, so I have a smooth surface when I'm draping on the stand. It's nothing fancy. It is up to my measurements, but it's not like super accurate because I knew that I wanted to, have a looser fitting dress, so I just needed to be like roughly there. Okay, I say let's look at the inspo and then let's make a dress. Right, so here is the inspiration for the dress. And basically, I wanted something light and flowy and just really easy to wear, but still designed. And I was really inspired by these Isabel Toledo dresses. I really like the abstract cut and these folds, for example. But also, if you look at this one, I find it so interesting how it folds around the body and then there is no side seam and it's asymmetric in every sense. Also, in terms of cut and shape, something like this would be nice, I thought. I love the asymmetric hem. By the way, I collected these images during my research trip in London, so you can find the video linked up somewhere on the screen. So I started off with experimenting with this fabric a little bit, so I was trying to, drape like different positions, just trying to see how it drapes on the dummy. And I was just playing around with this frayed edge and was trying to see different positions, like where I could position this edge. It's always good to, introduce yourself to the fabric before you start working with it and just see what it likes to do. So I just tried to, do a few pleats here and there and really just playing around and trying to get inspired. Yeah, I definitely like to have a few rounds with a new fabric on the dummy and just see what it wants to do. So right after that I had a better idea what I wanted to do, so I just grabbed some starch fabric that I had, like it's similar in weight and drape. I had like different colors and pieces, so but I just wanted to use these fabrics that otherwise I would not use, so I started to drape with that. So I needed to work with the salvage of the fabric a lot, like because I want to use that frayed edge, so it kind of directed how I'm draping. So right now my grain line is across the neckline, as you can see, because that's where the frayed edge is going to fall. So I started off with that, and I immediately just started pleating around the waist. Those pleats are gonna get changed so much, but I mean I started somewhere, right? So I started to pleat around the waist and see what I like. So the idea I had for the dress is like it's just kind of flows around the body, and it's completely asymmetric, like not even like the side seams are lining up, you know, like it just really wraps around your body, and it's different from every single angle when you look at it. So once I had those pleats on the waist, I just thought it's really nice how the fabric falls off the shoulder. So I just started to play around with that area as well. I'm just securing it on the side now, so I can have a sense of a side seam. And yeah, I thought it was falling really, really nice. I mean, I didn't want anything like really dramatically long around my arms, but I thought it would be nice to have just like a little drop around my arms. So then I moved back onto the pleats because I was not happy with it. And guys, these pleats are going to change so much, as I said before, because I was just never really happy how it looked. So now I'm just trying a little bit of like a tighter pleating around the waist. So it seemed it was something that I was more into, so I started to cut the excess fabric away around this area. And also started to cut away that long piece of fabric around the arm, as I mentioned before, because I didn't want anything long, but I did like the way it was draping there. So yeah, just went for it, cut it off. Yeah, and I thought it was really nice. So then I moved on to just securing that shoulder area a little bit more, and just see where maybe I could position a seam so it would drop nicely, but then also had to figure out some side seam. So I just created like an area there. I am going to insert like an underarm piece, so the side seam is a little bit slanted, and I'm just going to have like a triangle piece in there. So I'm just securing that area on the dummy now, so I can move on to the next step. And then I hand stitched my pleats into position. I do this a lot of times because it's just more convenient than working with the pins in the fabric, and also because the pins are sort of distorting that area. So next I started to work on the skirt area, and I do apologize that I'm using a black fabric on this black dummy. Like, and I hope you can still get the hang of things and see things, but that's the fabric I had in hand, and I didn't want to, you know, do some extra shopping for toweling. So I had this black fabric to use that was similar in weight, and again, just trying to see what I like. I like how, you know, the skirt comes in an angle, and I'm working along the selvage again. So where it attaches to the waist is along the grain line. And then I moved on to determining some length for the skirt. I wanted sort of like a midi length because that's usually quite flattering on me, so that's the length I was going for. So here I'm just marking the hemline, but also like the hem, I don't want it to be like a straight hem. This is going to be asymmetric. Oh, and if you're wondering what those white things are, they are just the best 20 quid I ever spent on Amazon. They are furniture height adjusters, and I normally use them for my table because it's too low, but this time I had to use it for this dummy because this dummy is like super old and the adjuster is not working anymore. Anyway, I just needed something to lift. I am going to leave a link in the description because if you're like me and working on your kitchen table, you might need this. Right, and then I moved on to the other side of the skirt. First I was trying to mimic the angle of the other side, but also I was trying to see how this could connect to the back. So I was just trying different variations. And again, I'm working with the selvage, so where it's attaching to the waist, it's where the grain line is. And I kind of liked how it's like dropping to the front. I thought it was quite nice. So I was also like determining like a seam on the front. And then of course I didn't like the pleats, so I started unpicking my stitches. As I told you, these pleats are going to change 100 times. Literally, I kind of nailed the whole dress throughout, and then these pleats were just so annoying. But anyway, it will get there. It's always a process, trust the process. And so I repleated it, I'm restitching it now, so I can carry on with the rest of the dress. I quite liked how this looked, and I liked the angle. I decided to drop the left side of the skirt. I just thought it was nice. And then I moved on to draping the left arm area. I don't necessarily like to show my arms, it's just a thing. So I was trying to create something that's going to be, you know, light, but still like covering my arms. And so I was just playing around with the fabric, and again making sure that I kind of utilize the selvage of the fabric. So where it goes around the neck, it's gonna have to be on the selvage. So again, it's just like a little bit of play. And then I decided to change things around a little bit. So I secured the fabric on the right side of the shoulder and just coming across the back. And then I really liked how the fabric is dropping there. Now this time the selvage is running on the arm, and I'm just moving on from there. So I'm securing some side seams and also the shoulder. And then I quite liked again how this is hanging there. So I was just trying to see how this could connect to the front. And then I was trying to see if I like some pleats at the back as well, sort of mirroring the front, but then I decided to leave it plain. I didn't want too many pleats there and like overcomplicated. It's always when you drape like this, like you need to obviously make sure you like what you're doing, but also think about construction. So it's always like a slow process. And then I'm just cutting some excess away to shorten the sleeve area, so it sort of mirrors the front a little bit. And then cutting the excess fabric away from the waist so I can connect the skirt and have a back skirt there. But again, as I'm cutting, like, you know, I need to think, how is this going to make sense in terms of stitching and making? And then I decided to bring the front skirt across the back. And again, this is all on the selvage as it connects to the back piece. So the area I'm pinning now is the selvage of the fabric. Right, and then it was time to move on to the right shoulder area. So I just grabbed a piece of fabric and started to attach that piece of fabric to the back that I already had, and see how I would like to carry on. And then again, I just really liked how this is dropping there and covering the back seam, and also how it goes onto your shoulder. And I think at this point, like, oh yeah, I really like this. This is the way to go. So I just secured it on the front. And meantime, you know, all this time, like I'm draping, I'm always, how am I gonna stitch this? How am I going to connect the pieces? How is it gonna make sense? So you always kind of need to think about these things. So I was just cutting some excess away, so I have a little short sleeve here as well, and also in this area where it connects to the waist, how is it going to make sense? Yeah, I loved how it was dropping at the back. I thought it was really special, and I love the sleeves as well. And here again, I'm just pinning this angle here because, as I mentioned before, I'm going to attach like a little triangle, so it's not going to have like a side seam. And here we go. So I got this now, and what needs to be done now, because I want to try it on, so I'm gonna kind of roughly hand stitch this as it is. And the only thing is that I have some gaps here that I need to fill, so I'm just gonna put like a little like gusset here that I'm just going to also like hand stitch these like little triangles that are going to get inserted into there. And there is another one that I need here underarm, and yeah, and then I'm just going to see how this looks like on. And at the back I do have this sort of insert there. I'm not sure I'm going to have that, but with this black fabric, kind of like I run out of the length, but I know that the actual fabric has enough length there, so I don't think I'm going to need that insert there. But let's see, maybe it's nice. Right, so I'm just going to hand stitch this now. And here I was hand stitching. I used a back stitch, really big stitches, quite quick, you know, just to serve the purpose. A back stitch is great to do something like this because it's a very secure stitch. But I was not caring much for beauty. Guys, just a quick pause as usual. If you got this far, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to watch the video till the end. And also hit that subscribe button and, you know, like the video, comment, share, whatever it is that you would like to do. And also don't forget to look inside the description box, because I have some goodies there as always. My free PDF of how to drape a basic bodice block, and also you can find some, you know, links to my tools that I use, so you can have a look at that, and so many other things. That just have a look, just have a look in there. All right, guys, I say let's get back to it. Right, so here it is. I mean, this color is not helping. Yeah, I don't really like this color combo, but obviously it's just a toile, and literally this is as I draped it on the stand, so it's nothing nice right now. But I can already see what I like and what it is that I need to change. So for example, I really like this shaping here as it is. I think it's quite nice. I really like how the sleeve is. I think it's just really nice, and then it just drops at the back, and on the other side as well. I think it's just really playful. It's really nice. What I don't like is these pleats coming like this. I think I'm gonna change this completely on the front. Maybe have the pleats coming, I don't know, maybe not gonna be any pleats either. I don't know, I'm not sure yet. I will see, because honestly, for this to work, what it would need, we would need like a base underneath, so it could, you know, like really hold it in place. But I just want to make this like a really easy dress, you know, I don't want to overcomplicate it. Also, I need to change the length, because at the moment this side is quite long, so I'm gonna have to lift this a little bit and then lengthen on this side, because the length is just really odd as it is right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna change this front and everything else that I just said, and then I'm gonna make the pattern and let's make the dress. So here we go again, working on the pleats, but this time I think I got what I wanted. So all the pleats are just gonna run into this V in the middle, and I think that's what's going to make sense, and I like it a lot more immediately. I think it makes a lot more sense like this. And so I'm just securing things there with a pin. And then I started marking my seam lines, just chalk everywhere, and also like these connecting points. Make sure you mark some notches as you go if you do something like this. So a lot of notches along the seams, because this fabric is also quite flimsy, so the notches are gonna help. But also this is like a loose fit garment, so it's a really rough drape, and so even so when I was I knew that I'm gonna have to like adjust the pattern and just make sure that the lines are smooth, because when you take it off of the dummy, it might not look you know, great. As you can see, my cut lines as well, but it's all gonna be fine when you actually smooth your lines. And then you just need to like match the patterns, match the pattern pieces along these notches, and then if you need to do any little adjustment on the seams, that's completely fine. You should be okay, because it's not like a super fitted garment. It's very, very easy. So I was just marking things, and like obviously annotations are very important, because especially with like random pieces like this, like sometimes you look at it, oh, where does this weird triangle shape go? What is that? So annotations are also very important. And here I'm just taking my pleats apart and marking the pleat direction and also the notches where they should match. And then I got all the pieces, very big pattern pieces. So I started cutting them out, and then I moved onto the floor, because where else am I going to cut these pieces out? So it was also like a little bit of a puzzle game because I had a lot of things running on the salvage, and actually I could not cut everything on the salvage, so some of the pieces are going to get like a trim. So for the side seam, I decided to do a French seam, and I say side seam because there is only one side seam in this dress. Here you can see me, I'm just putting the pleats together, and I am just gonna secure it with a stitch. And there is gonna be like a lot of like overlapping going on, so some of the seams where the salvage is, I'm just going to overlap it onto the base. And then those edges on the inside, just gonna get like, you know, like a zigzag. Like I don't have an overlocker, but otherwise I would just overlock it, but this way I just did like a quick zigzag on the inside. And then the pieces underarm are going to be double layer, so it holds nicely and just backed out. And here you can see me attaching the salvage. So I did have, you know, these frayed salvage pieces, but I just could not position all the pieces on the salvage, if it makes sense. So smaller areas, I decided to just cut the salvage off and just top stitch it. And that's what you can see. I'm just going to brush it off a little bit so it looks a bit more raw. And for the hem of the skirt, again, I didn't have enough of this salvage, so I just decided to do like a raw hem with a 0.5 stitch on the hem, and then also a 10 centimeter stitch away from the hem. So even though I didn't have any more of this frayed edge, I still wanted to go with this raw look. So that's why I didn't even bother to do any pin hem. I think it would not suit, you know, the whole look of the garment. So there is a side zip in the garment, and then there is like a front button on the left chest that you can't actually see because it's all inside, but you could see like a little stitch. So I just decided to do like a little embellishment on that area from, again, things that I already had, like just pieces of a thrifted necklace and some extra trim that I already had in my stash.